Unlocking inner peace, the power of quiet observation. Have you ever sat in silence? Not because you had nothing to say, but because the world was already speaking? The rustling of leaves outside your window, the gentle hum of your breath, the soft ache of a thought passing through, unspoken. There's a kind of peace that doesn't shout. It doesn't demand your attention or offer a quick fix. It just waits, like the surface of a still lake, reflecting everything and yet disturbed by nothing. This is the power of quiet observation. And in a world overflowing with noise, it might just be the one thing that can truly bring us back home to ourselves. 1. Why we chase noise. Modern life rewards action, reaction, production, performance. We are always doing, scrolling, replying, planning, optimizing. We wake up and reach for our phones before we even stretch. We fill the silence of a walk with a podcast, a call, a to-do list. Even in moments of so-called rest, our minds are still racing, replaying that conversation from yesterday, anticipating the next deadline, wondering if we are falling behind. But here's the truth we don't often say out loud. Sometimes, all this doing is just a way to avoid being with ourselves, being with the discomfort, being with the quiet truths that only surface when everything else goes still. 2. What quiet observation really is. Quiet observation isn't passive. It's not zoning out. It's not about escaping life. It's about fully entering it, without needing to control or interpret every moment. It's the art of simply noticing. The rise and fall of your breath. The way sunlight spills across the floor. The tension in your shoulders as you listen to someone talk. The feeling in your chest when you're truly present with pain or joy. It's what Buddhist practice calls bare attention, seeing clearly without adding extra layers of judgment or narrative. You might sit in meditation and suddenly realize, oh, I'm clenching my jaw. Oh, that memory still hurts. Oh, I've been living in tomorrow all day. And just like that, you come back. Not because you fixed anything, but because you finally saw it. 3. Why stillness is so powerful. There's something almost radical about stillness in today's world. Because when we slow down, we no longer outsource our awareness to the next click, the next distraction, the next dopamine hit. We reclaim it. And that's where the inner peace begins. I once spent an afternoon sitting by a small creek, doing nothing but watching water curl around rocks. No music, no phone, just the rhythm of nature doing its thing. And in that moment, I felt it. A kind of inner alignment. Like my nervous system had exhaled for the first time in weeks. Stillness didn't take away my stress. It just put it in perspective. It reminded me that peace isn't something I have to earn. It's something I return to. 4. What you'll notice when you observe quietly. The more you practice quiet observation, the more you notice things that used to slip past. You begin to feel how certain thoughts are just echoes, not truths. You begin to sense how emotions rise, peak, and dissolve, if you let them. You begin to see how other people are carrying their own invisible storms, and it makes you softer. And perhaps most beautifully, you begin to meet yourself, without the need to perform. There's a line by Rainer Maria Rilke. The only journey is the one within. Quiet observation is that journey. Step by step, breath by breath, it leads you inward. And from that place, that still, steady center, everything begins to shift. 5. How to begin practicing. So how do we begin? Not by downloading 100 meditation apps or buying a special cushion, but simply by noticing. You could start right now. Pause. Take one conscious breath. Feel the air as it enters your nose and leaves your lungs. Notice the texture of this moment. Not the moment you want, but the one that is. And when your mind wanders, because it will, just notice that too. That's it. That's the practice. Noticing. Gently. Again and again. Some days it might feel like nothing is happening. But trust me, everything is happening. This quiet, subtle attention, it's the foundation of peace. You don't need to retreat to a mountain. You don't need to escape your life. You just need to learn how to see it clearly, because the life you long for, the grounded, peaceful, awake life, it's not somewhere out there. It's already here, in the softness of a breath, in the pause between thoughts, in the sacred act of simply paying attention. So the next time the world feels too loud, too fast, too much, try this. Don't run from it. Don't fix it. Just observe it. And maybe, just maybe, you'll discover that what you were looking for was never far away. It was right here, waiting, in the quiet, unlocking inner peace, the power of quiet observation. Have you ever sat in silence, not because you had nothing to say, but because the world was already speaking? The rustling of leaves outside your window, the gentle hum of your breath, the soft ache of a thought passing through, unspoken. There's a kind of peace that doesn't shout. It doesn't demand your attention or offer a quick fix. It just waits, like the surface of a still lake, reflecting everything and yet disturbed by nothing. This is the power of quiet observation. And in a world overflowing with noise, it might just be the one thing that can truly bring us back home to ourselves. 1. Why we chase noise. Modern life rewards action, reaction, production, performance. We are always doing, scrolling, replying, planning, optimizing. We wake up and reach for our phones before we even stretch. We fill the silence of a walk with a podcast, a call, a to-do list. Even in moments of so-called rest, our minds are still racing, replaying that conversation from yesterday, anticipating the next deadline, wondering if we are falling behind. But here's the truth we don't often say out loud. Sometimes, all this doing is just a way to avoid being with ourselves, being with the discomfort, being with the quiet truths that only surface when everything else goes still. 2. What quiet observation really is. Quiet observation isn't passive. It's not zoning out. It's not about escaping life. It's about fully entering it, without needing to control or interpret every moment. It's the art of simply noticing the rise and fall of your breath, the way sunlight spills across the floor, the tension in your shoulders as you listen to someone talk, the feeling in your chest when you're truly present with pain or joy. It's what Buddhist practice calls bare attention, seeing clearly without adding extra layers of judgment or narrative. You might sit in meditation and suddenly realize, oh, I'm clenching my jaw. Oh, that memory still hurts. Oh, I've been living in tomorrow all day. And just like that, you come back. Not because you fixed anything, but because you finally saw it. 3. Why stillness is so powerful. There's something almost radical about stillness in today's world. Because when we slow down, we no longer outsource our awareness to the next click, the next distraction, the next dopamine hit. We reclaim it. And that's where the inner peace begins. I once spent an afternoon sitting by a small creek, doing nothing but watching water curl around rocks. No music, no phone, just the rhythm of nature doing its thing. And in that moment, I felt it. A kind of inner alignment. Like my nervous system had exhaled for the first time in weeks. Stillness didn't take away my stress. It just put it in perspective. It reminded me that peace isn't something I have to earn. It's something I return to. 4. What you'll notice when you observe quietly. The more you practice quiet observation, the more you notice things that used to slip past. You begin to feel how certain thoughts are just echoes, not truths. You begin to sense how emotions rise, peak, and dissolve, if you let them. You begin to see how other people are carrying their own invisible storms, and it makes you softer. And perhaps most beautifully, you begin to meet yourself, without the need to perform. There's a line by Rainer Maria Rilke. The only journey is the one within. Quiet observation is that journey. Step by step, breath by breath, it leads you inward. And from that place, that still, steady center, everything begins to shift. 5. How to begin practicing. So how do we begin? Not by downloading 100 meditation apps or buying a special cushion, but simply by noticing. You could start right now. Pause. Take one conscious breath. Feel the air as it enters your nose and leaves your lungs. Notice the texture of this moment. Not the moment you want, but the one that is. And when your mind wanders, because it will, just notice that too. That's it. That's the practice. Noticing. Gently. Again and again. Some days it might feel like nothing is happening. But trust me, everything is happening. This quiet, subtle attention, it's the foundation of peace. You don't need to retreat to a mountain. You don't need to escape your life. You just need to learn how to see it clearly, because the life you long for, the grounded, peaceful, awake life, it's not somewhere out there. It's already here, in the softness of a breath, in the pause between thoughts, The quiet power of observation. Feeling overwhelmed by the noise of modern life? You're not alone. Emails, notifications, conversations, decisions. It's like being caught in a constant storm of stimulation, spinning faster and faster, until you forget what stillness even feels like. But what if I told you there's a way out? Not by escaping the world, but by meeting it differently. Not by doing more, but by noticing more. In this video, we are going to explore a simple yet powerful practice that can dissolve stress and invite profound calm. Not some mystical technique, not $1,000 retreat. Just observation, pure, quiet, attentive observation. Observation may sound too simple to be transformational, but that's the beauty of it. In a world obsessed with productivity and outcomes, we've forgotten how to just see, to look without labeling, to witness without rushing to fix. Have you ever watched a child stare at a butterfly? There's no judgment, no agenda, just presence, curiosity, wonder. Somewhere along the way, we lost that. We live in a time of constant noise, and not just the kind from traffic or phones, but mental noise, the endless chatter of self-comparison, the replays of old conversations, the what ifs of tomorrow. This inner noise is what steals our peace. We think we need to do something to get it back. But what if we just need to see more clearly? Not analyze, not control, just observe. Start with your breath. Right now, wherever you are, take a moment to feel the air entering your nose, the rise of your chest, the gentle fall of your belly. That's observation. And in that simple noticing, the mind slows down. The world softens. I used to think peace was something you chased. Through goals, through people, through getting everything just right. But the more I chased it, the more it slipped away. Until one evening, I sat by a window, watching the rain. Not trying to be mindful. Not trying to be spiritual. Just watching. And something shifted. The rain didn't change. The world didn't change. I changed. Because I stopped running. I simply observed. Observation is not passive. It's one of the most radical acts in a distracted world. When you observe your thoughts without attaching to them, you take away their power. When you observe your emotions without being swept away, you begin to understand them. And when you observe the moment, without resisting or grasping, you return to something ancient, something always there, the stillness beneath the chaos. Think about this. When was the last time you really noticed the color of the sky? The sound of your own footsteps? The way your hands feel when they rest on your lap? It's not about romanticizing life. It's about reclaiming it. Because what we fail to observe, we lose. And life, my friend, is not lived in the past or in plans. It's lived in the noticing. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, don't fight the noise. Don't add to the chatter. Just pause. Look. Observe. Observe your breath. Observe your body. Observe the tension in your jaw, the warmth in your palms, the rhythm of your heartbeat. Observe the world without naming it, without fixing it. Just let it be. And let yourself be. This isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering what you've always known. Peace was never lost. You were just looking in the wrong direction. So come back. To this moment. To this breath. To this quiet power of observation. And you may just find that the calm you were chasing was always waiting right here. The subtle art of stillness, a journey into quiet observation. Hook. What if the key to a more peaceful, centered you isn't found outside, but within the subtle art of stillness? This video will guide you on a gentle journey to discover how quiet observation can transform your daily experience, leading to a profound sense of tranquility you might never have thought possible. We often think that peace is somewhere out there, in a perfect vacation, a better job, a less chaotic world. But what if the real key to calm has nothing to do with changing your surroundings, and everything to do with how you see them? In a world that's constantly asking us to move faster, do more, and chase louder dreams, the idea of slowing down, of simply observing, can feel almost rebellious. But there is power in stillness. And today, I want to invite you to explore that power with me. Stillness isn't just about being motionless. It's about developing the kind of presence that notices what most people miss. It's pausing for a moment before replying. It's hearing the layers of sound in a quiet room. It's feeling your breath not as a background rhythm, but as a living experience. Have you ever caught yourself rushing through the day, but not really remembering living it? You drove to work, but you don't remember the drive. You ate lunch, but barely tasted it. You talked to someone you care about, but your mind was already somewhere else. That's what life looks like when we are always reacting. When we are moving faster than our awareness can keep up. But stillness brings us back. The art of observation is subtle, because it's not about doing, but being. It asks nothing of you, except your attention. Try this with me. Right now, wherever you are, just notice what's around you. Don't analyze it. Don't judge it. Just observe. Maybe it's the hum of your refrigerator. Maybe the distant sound of traffic. Maybe your own heartbeat. Steady, loyal, quiet. This is where peace begins. Not in grand moments of escape, but in the humble practice of noticing. When we slow down enough to observe, we begin to see beauty in places we used to overlook. The golden warmth of sunlight on your floor. The way someone you love smiles when they think no one is watching. Even the tears that rise up in stillness, reminding you that you're alive and feeling and human. Stillness doesn't numb you. It reveals you. I remember a time when my life felt completely out of control. Too many decisions. Too many responsibilities. I felt like I was drowning in noise. One morning, I couldn't take it anymore. I walked outside. No headphones. No phone. Just me. And I stopped by a tree. I didn't mean to meditate or be poetic. I just watched. The way the branches swayed. The shadows dancing across the bark. The light shifting with the breeze. And in that small moment, something softened. The storm in my mind didn't feel so loud, because I was no longer inside it. I was watching it. You see, when we learn to observe rather than react, our inner world becomes less like a storm and more like a still lake. Thoughts still come, yes, but they pass. Emotions rise, but they don't take over. It doesn't mean life gets easier, but it becomes clearer. And from that clarity, calm begins to grow. You don't need to sit cross-legged for an hour each morning. Stillness isn't about performance. It's about relationship. Your relationship with the moment, with your breath, with your own thoughts. And here's the beautiful thing. You can start anywhere. Right here, right now. Pause before you scroll. Take 3 deep breaths before you answer that email. Look out the window, not to escape, but to see. This is a practice. A gentle remembering. That peace doesn't arrive with fanfare. It arrives when we stop looking for it, and simply open to what's already here. So I leave you with this. Stillness isn't the absence of life. It's the fullness of it, unfiltered. It's not about disconnecting from the world. It's about reconnecting to yourself, to this moment, to what truly matters. Try it. Start with 1 minute today. Observe, without needing to change anything. And watch what begins to change within you. Quiet observation, your path to inner calm. Do you long for a deeper sense of peace amidst the daily chaos? You're not alone. Today, we'll explore a powerful, accessible technique that can bring stillness and serenity into your life, showing you how simple moments of quiet observation can unlock a profound inner calm you've been searching for. Let's be honest, modern life can feel like a whirlwind. Deadlines, texts, conversations, noise, and somewhere in the middle of it all, you catch yourself thinking, when do I get to just breathe? If you've ever felt that way, you're not alone. In fact, more and more people are quietly asking the same thing. Is there a way to live without feeling constantly overwhelmed? The answer may surprise you, because it's not some new productivity hack, and it doesn't require quitting your job, moving to the mountains, or meditating for hours a day. It begins with something simple. Something so simple, we often overlook it entirely. Quiet observation. Observation is not about withdrawing from the world. It's about returning to it with fresh eyes. It's about reclaiming the moments we've been too busy to notice. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you actually noticed your breath? Not because you had to catch it, but because you were present enough to feel it move through your body? When was the last time you listened, really listened, to the sound of wind in the trees? Or felt the warmth of sunlight on your skin without immediately reaching for your phone? We miss so much of life simply because we are always rushing to the next thing. But stillness offers another way. I remember a time in my life when everything felt like too much. Too many thoughts. Too much pressure. Even the smallest decisions felt heavy. And one day, in the middle of all that noise, I just stopped. I went outside. I didn't plan to practice mindfulness or be spiritual. I just sat a day, and I watched. I watched a squirrel dig through the grass. I watched how the clouds moved without effort. I watched my thoughts like passing cars, some loud, some strange, some full of worry. But I didn't chase them. I just observed. And in that moment, something shifted. It was subtle, quiet, but real. It was peace, not because the world changed, but because I did. You see, observation is not passive. It's not about zoning out. It's about tuning in. When we observe with gentle awareness, we create space between the stimulus and our reaction. We learn to respond, rather than react. And in that space, there's freedom. You don't need to be an expert. You don't need fancy tools. Just your attention. Your willingness to notice what's already here. Try this. Next time you're brushing your teeth, notice the feel of the bristles, the temperature of the water. Next time you drink coffee, pause before the first sip. Breathe it in. Feel the warmth in your hand. Next time you're stuck in traffic, notice the rhythm of your breath, the tension in your body, the colors around you. These are not trivial moments. These are the very threads that make up your life. And when you meet them with presence, something incredible happens. They become sacred. Quiet observation reconnects you, not just to the world, but to yourself, to the calm beneath the noise, to the softness beneath the stress. And maybe, for the first time in a long time, you remember that peace isn't something you have to earn. It's something you return to. It's always been there. You've just been looking in the wrong places. So if you're longing for a deeper sense of peace, don't wait for the world to slow down. Start here. Start now. By noticing. Because the practice of quiet observation, this gentle act of just being, might be the most powerful thing you do all day. You don't need more time. You need more presence. And the beautiful thing, you can begin again, every moment. The modern noise trap, why we feel so overwhelmed. Do you ever feel like your brain just can't catch a break? Like there's always something demanding your attention. Always another ping, another task, another tab open in your mind. You're not imagining it. This is what it means to live in the modern noise trap. And many of us are stuck in it without even realizing. We live in a world that never really turns off. Always on. Always connected. Always something new to process. And at first, it feels like empowerment. You can work from anywhere. Learn anything. Stay in touch with everyone. But over time, the same things that give us access start to drain us. Without space, without silence, without boundaries, our attention gets scattered. Our thoughts fragmented, and our sense of peace quietly slips out the back door. Have you noticed it? That low-grade hum of restlessness you carry all day. You wake up, and the first thing you do is check your phone. Before you've even touched the ground, you've already entered the stream. News, messages, notifications. And it doesn't stop. At work, there are emails waiting. Slack messages blinking. Even your lunch break is filled with scrolling. You get home, and maybe you're too tired to talk. So the TV goes on. Background noise to drown out the other noise. The tricky part is, none of this feels extreme. It feels normal. It is normal now. But that's the trap. Because this constant stimulation, it doesn't just take your time. It takes your presence. And it takes it in small, subtle ways. You lose focus more easily. You find it harder to sit still. You forget why you walked into a room. You feel tired, but wired. Like your mind is always on, but never quite here. Let me share a moment with you. A few months ago, I was driving home from the store, just a 15-minute trip. And when I pulled into the driveway, I realized I didn't remember a single second of the drive. Not the turns, not the lights, not even the music. I was somewhere else entirely. And it scared me a little. Because if I wasn't there for that drive, How many other moments had I missed? How much of my life was I living on autopilot? This world teaches us to value movement, speed, output, engagement, but it rarely teaches us to value space, or stillness, or silence. Yet these are the very things that allow peace to enter. Without stillness, we can't reflect. Without silence, we can't hear ourselves think. And without space, we can't breathe deeply, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. The good news is, there's a way back. And it doesn't require a big life change. It starts with tiny, conscious shifts. What if, instead of reaching for your phone the moment you wake up, you paused and just noticed your breath? What if you gave yourself permission to do nothing for 5 minutes a day? Not scroll, not plan, not fix, just observe? Even a few moments of stillness can help reset your nervous system. And from that reset, clarity returns, calm returns, you return. It's okay to feel overwhelmed. You're not broken. You're just living in a world that rewards overstimulation. And you are sensitive enough to feel the cost of it. That's not weakness. That's awareness. And with awareness comes choice. You can choose to step out of the noise, even for a little while, to reclaim your focus, to protect your peace. You don't have to disappear. You just have to begin listening again. Not to everything outside you, but to the still, quiet space within you. Because underneath all the noise, there's still a calm that hasn't gone anywhere. A part of you that remembers how to be fully present, how to feel joy without a screen, how to breathe without pressure. And that part, it's just waiting for you to return. The hidden power of just being. Have you ever just stopped? Not to check your phone, not to tick something off your list, not even to rest, in the way we usually rest, with noise still buzzing in the background. I mean really stopped. Sat still. Eyes open. No agenda. No goal. Just being here. It sounds so simple, doesn't it? And yet for most of us, just being is one of the hardest things to do. We've been conditioned to believe that worth is found in doing. That productivity is the path to peace. That if we are not moving, achieving, fixing, or improving, then somehow we are falling behind. But what if that's not the whole truth? What if peace isn't something we earn by doing more, but something we touch when we finally do less? Let me introduce something that changed my life. Not a technique, not a challenge, not even a formal meditation practice. Just quiet observation. Noticing. Looking out the window and truly seeing the way sunlight touches the leaves. Hearing, not just listening to, a child's laughter or the soft hum of your fridge at 3 p.m. Feeling the texture of your own breath. Not controlling it. Not labeling it. Just feeling it. You see, when we allow ourselves even a few moments of pure awareness, we reconnect with something that's always been there, something quiet, vast, and deeply healing. This isn't about emptying your mind or sitting in lotus pose on a mountaintop. This is about presence. And presence, my friend, is a kind of magic. Have you ever noticed what happens inside you when you stop judging? When you notice a thought like, I'm behind or I should be doing more, but instead of clinging to it or pushing it away, you simply say, there you are? It's like the storm loses its fuel. The moment you stop fighting your experience, you begin transforming your experience. That's the quiet revolution of mindful awareness. It doesn't scream. It doesn't demand. But it shifts everything. Because in stillness, clarity returns. In awareness, compassion rises. In just being, we remember who we are beyond the noise. I remember one morning, not long ago, I woke up already anxious. I hadn't even gotten out of bed, and my brain was racing. The emails, the deadlines, the feeling that somehow I was already late. But instead of reaching for my phone, I just sat up. I placed both feet on the floor. I noticed the weight of my body. I listened to the quiet hum of the world waking up. And in that moment, I felt anchored. Nothing outside of me had changed. The emails were still there. But inside, something softened. It didn't take a 30-minute meditation. It took 30 seconds of just noticing, without judgment. That's the power of just being. When was the last time you were fully with yourself, without trying to fix, improve, or distract? When was the last time you sat in your own presence and simply said, "This is enough?" Because here's the truth that often goes unspoken. You don't have to earn your right to rest. You don't need permission to slow down. And you are not broken just because you feel overwhelmed. Sometimes, what we need most isn't a solution, it's a pause, a breath, a chance to come home to this moment. In Buddhist teachings, there's a term called sati, which means mindfulness, but more literally, it means to remember. To remember what? To remember this breath, this body, this moment, this life that is always unfolding now. You don't need to retreat to a monastery to remember. You just need to pause, to look around, to listen, to feel. That's where the healing begins. Not in escaping the world, but in returning to it, more awake, more alive, more present. So today, I invite you to take 1 minute. Just one. Turn off your music. Put down your phone. Sit somewhere, anywhere, and just be. Notice what you see. Notice what you hear. Notice the rise and fall of your breath. Not to change it. Not to fix it. Just to witness it. This is not a task. It's a remembering. You might be surprised by what awakens when you do. In a world that constantly tells you to do more, choosing to just be is a radical act of self-love. It's not laziness. It's wisdom. It's not avoiding life. It's embracing it, fully, honestly, and without distraction. And maybe, just maybe, the peace you've been chasing has been quietly waiting for you in the stillness all along. Practical pathways to presence. A 60-second exercise that changes everything. Have you ever found yourself walking through life, but feeling like you're not really there? You're brushing your teeth, but your mind is rehashing yesterday's argument. You're sipping your morning coffee, but already anxious about a meeting that hasn't even happened yet. You're standing in line, and instead of simply being, you're reaching for your phone like it's a lifeline. We live in a world that constantly pulls us away from the present moment. Notifications buzz, schedules overflow, and our thoughts spin in 1,000 directions. And yet, underneath all that noise, there's a quiet whisper. This moment is enough, if we let it be. So how do we come back? Let me share with you a simple practice. 1 minute. One object. That's it. Wherever you are right now, pause. Look around and pick a single object in your environment. It could be a leaf, a coffee mug, a candle, or even the texture of the floor beneath your feet. Now, set a gentle intention to give this object your full attention for 60 seconds. Observe it, not to judge it or analyze it, but simply to see it. Notice the way light plays on its surface. The patterns, colors, textures, the weight of its stillness. Let your breath soften. Let your shoulders drop. There's nothing to fix. Nowhere else to be. Just this moment, and your open awareness. You might be surprised how difficult this is at first. Your mind will try to pull you away. This is pointless. I don't have time. What's next on my list? But here's the thing, that pull is the practice. When you notice your mind wandering, that's not a failure, it's an invitation. A reminder to gently return. With kindness. With curiosity. Without judgment. I remember the first time I tried this practice. I was sitting in a cafe, feeling overwhelmed, emails piling up, deadlines looming. My coffee sat untouched, and for some reason, I decided to just look at it. I watched the steam curl upwards, slowly disappearing into the air. I noticed how the surface shimmered ever so slightly. That single minute didn't fix everything, but something inside me softened. I felt back. Just a little, but enough. And that's where this practice becomes powerful, not because it changes the world outside, but because it changes the way we meet the world. You can bring this kind of presence into your everyday life in small, beautiful ways. Waiting in line at the grocery store. Instead of checking your phone, notice the colors of the fruit, the rhythm of people moving, the feel of your feet on the ground. Walking down the street? Take 30 seconds to feel the breeze on your skin. The way the sunlight filters through the trees. The sound of your own footsteps. Even during a tense moment, a hard conversation, a traffic jam, a moment of frustration, you can pause and anchor yourself with a single breath, a single object, a single second of real noticing. And here's a secret. The more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. Like building a muscle. You don't have to sit for an hour in silence to be mindful. You just have to remember to come back, again and again. in the middle of the messy, beautiful, ordinary moments of life. Of course, distractions will always be there. Our minds are wired to think, plan, worry, anticipate. That's okay. Mindfulness isn't about getting rid of thoughts. It's about changing your relationship with them. You learn to witness, not wrestle. To observe, not obsess. To soften, not suppress. This approach, gentle, non-judgmental, curious, is what makes the practice sustainable. It's not about being perfect. It's about being present, even if only for a few seconds at a time. Think of it like planting seeds. Every 60-second observation, every mindful breath, every moment of pausing, these are seeds of presence. And over time, they grow into a life that feels less rushed, more grounded, more real. So here's a question for you. What if you gave yourself permission, just once a day, to stop and truly see something in front of you? Not because it's useful, not because it's productive, but simply because it is. Try it today. Choose an object. Set a timer if you want to. 1 minute. Observe. Return. Breathe. And if it feels strange or awkward or boring at first, that's okay. That's the path. You're training yourself to be where your life actually is, here. In the end, presence isn't some lofty goal for monks in mountain caves. It's available to all of us, right now, in the most ordinary of moments. We just have to look up, look in, and begin. So wherever you are, take a breath. Look around. Find one thing. And for just 1 minute, be there with it. Because that's where peace begins, not somewhere far away, but right here, in the simple act of truly seeing what's already in front of you. Transforming your inner landscape. Have you ever watched your own thoughts the way you'd watch clouds move across the sky? No judgment. No chasing. Just observing. It sounds simple, almost too simple, but this act, this consistent quiet observation of your inner world, is one of the most radical things you can do. You begin to see that your mind isn't just thinking. It's reacting, assuming, planning, protecting, doubting, yearning. And most of the time, it's doing all of that without your conscious permission. But here's the beautiful truth. When you start observing your thoughts without getting caught in them, something shifts. Slowly, gently, but powerfully. Your brain begins to rewire itself. Let's break it down. When you consistently observe your thoughts, you create a gap between you and the noise in your head. Neuroscience calls this meta-awareness, the ability to notice that you're thinking without being hijacked by the thought itself. That small pause, that moment of noticing, it's the birthplace of calm, of clarity, of choice. And over time, with practice, it becomes your new default. The brain learns to stop firing the same stress circuits over and over. It builds new pathways instead, pathways of patience, of perspective, of peace. This isn't just theory. Let me give you a real example. A friend of mine, Sarah, used to snap at her partner in moments of stress. Not because she was unkind, but because her nervous system had been wired for fight or flight from years of growing up in a chaotic home. Every disagreement felt like danger. But once she began practicing mindful observation, just 5 minutes a day of watching her thoughts and breath, she started to catch the early signs. The tension in her jaw, the rising temperature in her chest, the urge to interrupt. She'd take a breath instead of reacting. And that breath changed everything. Their arguments turned into conversations. Their distance turned into connection. Her inner calm began shaping her outer world. And that's the second ripple, decision-making. When your mind is no longer fogged by reactivity, your choices become clearer. You don't just respond to life, you create it. You begin to notice the patterns you use to repeat without thinking. You start asking better questions. Is this truly what I want? Is this reaction coming from love or from fear? What would I choose if I weren't afraid? This is how real change happens, not by forcing, not by controlling, but by seeing clearly, over and over again. And here's what might surprise you the most. Your peace. It doesn't just stay inside you. It spreads. You start listening differently, speaking softer, holding space for others' pain without absorbing it. Your calm becomes contagious. It's like dropping a pebble into water. The stillness expands. I remember one morning I was standing in line at a coffee shop when the woman ahead of me started yelling at the barista. Everyone in the cafe tensed up. You could feel the ripple of stress shoot through the room. But the barista, probably no older than 20, paused, looked her in the eyes, and said gently, "It sounds like you're having a rough morning. I've had those too." Silence. The woman teared up and said, "I'm sorry. My dad's in the hospital." I just snapped. That barista didn't just serve coffee that morning. He served presence. That's the ripple effect of someone who's learned to stay grounded. So maybe we don't need to change the whole world. Maybe we just need to start with the landscape inside ourselves. Observe it. Tend to it. Clear the overgrown paths. Let the storms pass. Replant what's true. And slowly, the world around us begins to shift too. Because the most powerful change always starts quietly, within. So here's a question I'll leave you with. What might happen if you simply watched your thoughts today, like clouds across the sky, and chose not to chase any of them? You don't have to become someone else. You don't have to fix everything overnight. But you can begin now, just by watching, just by breathing, just by returning. Again, and again, and again. Your inner landscape is waiting. And it's more beautiful than you think. Your journey to lasting serenity. There's something quietly powerful about taking the first step, especially when that step is small. Maybe it's just sitting with your morning coffee in silence, without checking your phone. Maybe it's noticing the way sunlight falls across your kitchen counter. Maybe, for the first time today, you pause and breathe. This is how the journey to lasting serenity begins. Not with grand resolutions or life-altering revelations, but with the smallest acts of attention, done again and again, like waves gently smoothing a shore. You don't need to be a monk or meditate for hours each day. You don't need to escape to the mountains or completely detach from the modern world. You begin where you are, in the middle of your life, in the middle of your schedule, your stress, your responsibilities. When we think of serenity, we often imagine a perfect stillness, some utopia where nothing disturbs us. But real serenity isn't about escaping noise. It's about learning to remain centered while life moves around us. It's the quiet inner strength that whispers, "Yes, this moment is enough. Yes, you are allowed to rest. Yes, it's okay to not have all the answers." So the question isn't, how do I get rid of stress forever? The question is, can I stay with myself, gently, even when I feel stress arise? That's where true peace lives, not in controlling life, but in accepting it as it flows. Start small. Start where it's easy. A few minutes of silence in the car before you walk into work. Taking 3 slow breaths before answering a call. Turning off background noise and just being. These little pauses are not wasted time. They are sacred moments. Moments when you are no longer just reacting to the world, but returning to yourself. Every time you pause, you are deepening your awareness. And every moment of awareness is a thread in the tapestry of serenity. So today, don't worry about mastering some perfect practice. Instead, ask yourself gently, what can I quietly observe right now? Look around. Is it the way your pet stretches in the sun? Is it the warmth of the mug in your hand? Is it your own breath, rising and falling like a soft tide? These are not trivial things. They are the pulse of the present moment. And the present moment is where serenity waits. You may wonder, will this really make a difference? Let me share something personal. There was a time in my life when I thought I had to do more to feel calm. I chased routines, I bought books, I scheduled peace into my calendar like it was a meeting. But the more I tried to force peace, the more elusive it became. Until one day, I simply stopped. I sat down, listened to the breeze outside my window, and for the first time in a long while, I felt okay. Not perfect. Not enlightened. Just okay. And that okay feeling? That was the beginning of real serenity. You don't have to earn peace. You just have to allow it. Let the world be as it is. Let yourself be as you are. There's a quiet revolution in that. And if you'd like to keep exploring, there are so many beautiful paths to deepen your practice. Books, guided meditations, mindful walks, silent mornings, simple rituals. You don't need to do them all. You just need to choose one, and return to it, again and again. Let it become your anchor. So now, dear friend, I leave you with this question. What will you quietly observe today? Not tomorrow. Not next week. Today. Let that be your beginning. Let that be your doorway to serenity.